The U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has said the fact that Maduro invited the U.S. Special Envoy for talks means that he's starting to understand that people here in Venezuela have rejected him and his model of governance. But he didn't go as far as confirming that those two meetings, those two secret meetings, have indeed taken place. Those meetings, according to Nicolas Maduro, were held in New York City between the Venezuelan foreign minister and the U.S. Special Envoy for Venezuela. Two meetings, one on January 26th and the other one on February the 11th. So as recently as this week, the first meeting was apparently extremely hostile, with the U.S. envoy threatening to send troops here to Venezuela. And the second meeting was less tense, according to the Venezuelan president. But of course, we still have no confirmation as to whether or not those meetings took place. And if they did take place, it comes after the U.S. Special Envoy for Venezuela had actually said that the time for negotiating with Maduro had passed. And a day before, Nicolas Maduro told me that there was no dialogue with the United States. If these meetings took place, it means that the channels of communication are open, and that could also involve the Venezuelan opposition. For now, however, it's unclear whether or not these meetings took place, whether or not they achieved anything. What we've heard today from the U.S. is also more bad news for Venezuela. The U.S. Treasury has announced new sanctions on 5 officials of the government, including the country's oil minister and president of PDVSA, the state oil company.
Annalise, you're in Caracas now, the capital. Can you describe to us some of the things you've seen over the last few days?
Well, absolutely, Tokes. It's interesting because a lot of what is wrong with Venezuela right now has to do with people's daily lives, people's basic needs. We spent some time in one of the barrios, one of the poorest areas here in Caracas, to understand what people go through. And it's quite easy. You spend a few moments there, and it's quite easy to see how a lot of the conversations, for example, revolve around whether or not people were able to buy any food, whether or not people had found medicine for a sick baby that was with the neighbor. And these conversations echoed throughout the night. We were there for a night with one family, and we witnessed, for example, when 2 trucks of the government arrived at the project to distribute subsidized food. Some 8,000 bolivars for a package of food containing chicken and eggs. 8,000 bolivars is a little less than $2. So this is food people there could afford, but there wasn't enough for everybody. And so tensions were running really, really high. A lot of people were really upset, saying that they were sick and tired of the situation in the country, of this daily struggle. Of course, this is a country that used to pride itself in taking care of its people, in feeding its people, in taking care of the people's health. When Hugo Chavez came to power in '98, he said that he was going to do just that he was going to take care of Venezuelans. Fast forward 21 years, and what is left of his revolution is a very different picture. Of course, it depends who you talk to about why this is happening in the country. The government says this is a result of a U.S. intervention, of a U.S. economic war. The opposition says this is a result of years of mismanagement and corruption.